It's the last day of the HLF, and as always, this means we are hosted at the headquarters of the global software company SAP.
And in this last video, we'll be talking to some of the people who make the HLF happen. And that includes legend of computer science, Vinton Cerf, who's been coming to the HLF from the very beginning.
And since this video is packed, let's not waste any time.
Let's
go!
We're here with Anna Wienhard, who is the scientific chairperson of the Heidelberg Laureate Forum Foundation. Anna, what have you enjoyed most about this year's HLF?
And this is actually quite a hard question, I would say, because there are many things I really enjoyed over the last couple of days. Of course, one thing, having everyone here, seeing everyone interact, talk, and I think having a good time on scientific discussions, but also a good time just getting to know each other.
As scientific chairperson of the HLFF, what are you trying to achieve when you're designing the scientific program for the forum?
So I would say I mainly have two goals I'm trying to achieve. So one is sparking and is a scientific interaction between the laureate and the young researchers and also among themselves. And really would like to say sparking because the scientific interaction goes then, starts at a lecture or at a panel discussion, but then goes and continues in the coffee break afterwards or over a discussion over dinner or in the afternoons. So this is one. And the other is really to get mathematics and computer science and mathematicians and computer scientists together to exchange and to talk to each other, to discuss and to discuss about the challenges which are within the fields and at the interface, because I think there's, especially now, a lot of things happening at the interface of mathematics and computer science, which are of great importance, but also to go a bit beyond and see what is the role mathematics and computer science plays in our society.
And as well as your work at the HLFF, of course, you're a mathematician at Heidelberg University. Can you give us a little bit of a sense of your work?
I'm really a geometer, so I study spaces, geometric spaces, together with dynamical systems and some dynamics on them. To give an example of the spaces and the things I study in my research, we all know one geometry very well, which is Euclidean geometry. We know a lot of that in school. There's spherical geometry, which is the geometry of the surface of the Earth, if you want. And then there's hyperbolic geometry, which I think not everyone knows about, which is a geometry which captures, in a sense, what happens if you have the geometry of a complex network or a tree. And in recent years, it has actually, even though it's a pure and theoretical concept in mathematics, which has been studied for a long time. In recent years, it found applications in machine learning so that people use this hyperbolic geometry space to represent graphs and embed in complicated networks because it has just more space if you want. So this is really the mathematics I'm passionate about, these spaces, dynamics, actions on them, and I really think that there's a lot of potential in bringing theoretical mathematicians together with people from other sciences to explore where are things from theoretical mathematics which are not yet applied and not common toolbox, where is potential for them to be applied in other sciences as well.
I'm here with Pooja, Bharadwaj and Jay Lee, who are alumni of the HLF and also the MCs of the opening and closing ceremonies this year. Pooja, what year were you here as a young researcher?
I was here in 2019. That was the last time the HLF was in person.
The same for me. 2019, I was a young researcher attending. Actually, it was raining on the boat trip, so today I'm glad it's sunny.
And could you give me a little bit of an idea about your work?
I'm a researcher and consultant at ACM at the moment, but before I was doing human-computer interaction with a lot of virtual reality work. So both in my postdoc and my PhD was also human-computer interaction, but it's mainly on like a crowd experience and design, this kind of topic.
And Pooja?
So I work in cybersecurity. So my master's was completed in 2019, and that was when I worked with encryption and all of that. And plus, I also worked with social media and privacy and security and network embedding. But now I work in Cisco, and my work is mostly about firewalls and identity services. So it's more of network security.
And you were here as young researchers, but this year you're here as MCs of the opening and closing ceremony. What's that experience been like?
I really enjoy public speaking, so it was a great experience for me, and I got to interact with Jay so much, and I loved her so much. We coordinated so well, we practiced quite a lot, and it was so fun coming up with the script and rehearsing and coming up with everything. And in general, the experience also after the opening ceremony, a lot of people came to us and they said that we were awesome, and it felt really good. I mean, I know it sounds vain, but it felt so good to get to hear that from so many people, that the opening ceremony was so amazing.
Well, you did a really good job. I agree with them. As alumni of the HLF, what advice would you have for the young researchers here this year to make the most of their experience once the HLF is over?
For me, it's like never skip anything while you are at this HLF week, because every lecture was amazing, at least for us. And also after HLF, keep contact with each other on projects, on alumni note. Until today, I'm still working with young researchers. I met in 2019. We're still collaborating on papers, on research work, so that was really amazing.
I'm here now with Martina Wagner and Sarah MacLeod, who are responsible for bringing all those wonderful young researchers to the HLF. Martina, what's it like working with the young researchers?
Oh, it's amazing, especially because this year, finally, we have everybody here. They are very giving, so they always compliment you on how amazing the work you do is, and how much it actually brings them to be here in Heidelberg. And the young researchers are always having something that they need assistance with, and so it's a really full-time job, but it makes a lot of fun.
And Sarah, what options are there for young researchers to stay connected after the HLF?
Our network for the young researchers after for the alumni is Alumnode. It's an interdisciplinary alumni network, and they can join that and they can apply for project funding together amongst the community members. We can offer them workshops and informal get-togethers, and we also have a peer-to-peer mentoring program on Alumnode as well. We also have our HLFF Spotlight series where we highlight the happenings in the lives of our alumni, and so there's lots of offers that they can, as soon as they join Alumnode, we will stay connected with them.
Can you think of 3 words that best describe what the HLF means to you?
HLF is, like I said, it's cozy and warm. People are so welcoming. It's networking, and it's collaborating.
Excitement, curiosity, and scientific passion.
Networking, collaboration, excitement, I would say.
Can you think of 3 words that best describe your experience of the HLF?
I would have 2 words, connecting people.
So I'm very happy to be here now with Vinton Cerf, who's one of the laureates at the HLF. Vint, you've had a very long career. Could you tell us perhaps what is your most favorite aspect of your work?
Oh, I think my most favorite aspect is that it's still going on. The internet continues to evolve. People keep coming up with new ways to use it. So the internet starts even before the internet, in 1969, with a project called ARPANET, which was experimenting with something called packet switching, which was considered heresy at the time. That's not how communication worked. It was supposed to be like circuit switching, like the telephone. So we said, no, that computers needed to talk to each other a different way. So we built the ARPANET. And then we realized that in order to make this work for the Defense Department, it was going to have to work with mobile vehicles and with ships at sea and airplanes. And that means you had to use radio and satellite. So we had to build more packet switch networks with these radio technologies. Then we had to figure out how to connect them all together. So Bob Kahn, my colleague, and I did that in 1973, and it took us 10 years to work our way through the details, and then we turned it on in 1983. And then, of course, we pushed it to the limits. We're now at the point where we're starting to deploy an interplanetary extension of the internet. And it had to use a different set of protocols than the ones that work here terrestrially. So that's exciting too, just because we're into new territory from the technical point of view. So it's not often that you can have a career which encompasses so much that has happened over the past 50 years. So within your own career and lifetime, to get to see this evolution from nothing to a global communication system that we're all dependent on, that's pretty exciting.
And also, you've had a very long involvement with the HLF. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, first of all, I was so happy to see the HLF happen because, as you know, part of the reason it exists is because there aren't any Nobel Prizes for mathematics and computer science. And bless Klaus Schiller for deciding that we should do something about that. And he was, as you know, supporting also the Lindau meetings for the Nobel Prize winners. And so he decided we would do something for computer science and mathematics. And so this had two really lovely aspects. First one is I got to see some old friends that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I keep getting to see them every year. And the second one is that we're recognizing the importance of computer science and mathematics, which for the general public has been a kind of obscure, geeky kind of thing. Although I think they're starting to get the understanding that it's pretty central to our lives, especially when you think about, these things that we're all carrying. They're full of mathematics and computer science.
So the young researchers come here to learn from the laureates and the speakers and so on. Is there something that you take away, that you learn when you come to the HLF?
Always. I mean, first of all, remember, a lot of the students have either just finished their PhDs or they're working on them. They're trying to figure out, how do I separate my PhD topic from the rest of the universe so you can solve a problem? So they bring problems to the table, and those problems are not easy to solve. And even the laureates may not know the answers. I have problems with the systems I'm working on right now, and I love the opportunity to tell the students, here's the problem. Do you have any good ideas for solving it? So this is very much a two-way street.
It's been a brilliant, busy week. We hope you've enjoyed your glimpse at life at the 9th Heidelberg Laureate Forum.
And we're ending the forum literally on a high, here at the castle overlooking the beautiful city of Heidelberg.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next year.
Bye!